Hey, good morning. All right, my last podcast, or whatever you call these, I talked about how I got started into music, the excitement of how my parents almost ruined it. Now I want to tell you how I started a record collection for 99 cents. Yes, I was able to start a big record collection, 11 albums, 99 cents. And I did it through the power of Columbia House. Back in the 60s, 70s, Columbia House came around. And I mean, every magazine you open, there was a Columbia House advertisement in there. And it said for 99 cents, you can pick 11 albums. And all you have to do is sign up, and then over a certain amount of time, you have to buy so many at regular prices. And I'd read, I'd seen those, and finally decided, you know what? What a great way to get into music. I'm going to do this. And so I signed up. Then every month they would send you a card. It had the selection of the month. All you had to do was send back that card, say, no, I don't want the selection of the month. You didn't receive anything. Of course, I kind of just always blew that off, and I got an awful lot of selections of the month. But it did teach me a lot about music and really expanded my horizon. So I want to show you the albums that really got me started. This was the beginning of my record collection, the very first albums that I went out to get. And it was 1976 when I started to get this. That's when I joined Columbia House. So I want to tell you a little story behind them. So the first one, Jim Croce. All right. So here we have Photographs and Memories, a greatest hits collection. What I found is when I looked at this list, and it wasn't like this huge list, but I just picked anything with greatest hits. Why? I didn't know a lot about music. I bought tons of 45s. It was all AM stuff, and here were a lot of different things that I didn't know about. So most of my music, my choices came from greatest hits, but also things that we were singing in choir or playing in the band. And for instance, this one here, actually what I remember most about it was that song Time in a Bottle, something we sang in choir. Didn't really like this song, but I'd heard this other song, and it was Bad Bad Leroy Brown. You know, Bad Bad Leroy Brown. Awesome song, really fast, really enjoyed it. So I thought, hey, this sounds like a really, really good album to get. Also, it had Don't Mess Around with Jim, which is fun, fun song. And then there was this one that I really liked called Rapid Roy, the Stock Car Boy. Nice title. So Jim Croce was the start. Am I a Jim Croce fan? Nah, not really. I do have some of his stuff, but I do like Bad Bad Leroy Brown. So another album picked up. Another greatest hits. Cat Stevens. What did I know about Cat Stevens? Again, it all came from choir. We sang Peace Train, because that's what it's about. And we sang Morning Has Broken. I swear to God, every choir in the 70s sang Morning Has Broken. You just had to do it. All kind of slow songs, but it was good. I enjoyed it. So that introduced me to Cat Stevens. When I listen to this album, though, really a song that just to this day is still one of my all-time favorites is Father and Son. Fantastic story, and as I've gotten older, it's meant a lot more to me. So I mean, this album had Wild World, Oh Very Young, Peace Train on there, like I said, Another Saturday Night, which was one of his more upbeat ones. And you know, I listened to this album quite a bit and totally enjoyed it. Blood, Sweat, and Tears, greatest hits. What did I know of Blood, Sweat, and Tears? The song Spinning Wheel. Again, very popular song. This was one we played in band. Now, I sucked at band. I played the trumpet. Really wasn't that great. Didn't want to practice. But I did know some of the music I liked. And Spinning Wheel was one pretty darn cool song. Now, the album actually was not or the group was not a favorite of the critics. You read back through, old magazines and stuff, you find Blood, Sweat, and Tears wasn't like a critic's darling. But they did make a lot of pretty neat things. And what I really thought was neat about Blood, Sweat, and Tears is it was made by Al Cooper. And it was kind of a project in which he took jazz. He wanted to put jazz into rock. And he was one of the very first guys to do this. And he came up with this group, Blood, Sweat, and Tears. And they went into the 70s. And, so, I mean, obviously Spinning Wheel was big. There was the song Heidi Ho, God Bless the Child. Lisa, Listen to Me, and When I Die. A lot of different songs. I bought some of the back catalog of Blood, Sweat, and Tears. All-time favorite group? No, but it did mean a lot growing up. So again, another greatest hits. Ah, another greatest hits. I told you I bought the greatest hits. Santana. What did I know of Santana? Not much except for Black Magic Woman. Again, we played that one in band, and it was a really neat song. I learned later on that it was done by Fleetwood Mac originally, but Santana really took and put a little bit of that Latin into it. So this was my introduction to more the Latin jazz. Oya como va, Zapati, everything going our way. I didn't know much about the group, didn't know anything about them being at Woodstock. I just liked, Black Magic Woman. At first, the album was okay. I didn't listen to it. But as I've gotten older, I've really come to appreciate really Santana. And when you look at them, when you look at their back catalog, really, it's the first four albums, to me, is what Santana was all about. It was Santana, Abarak, Santana 3, and Caravan. Caravan something. Don't know. But they were very, very good. So again, really a neat album that I've enjoyed through the years, and I keep listening to. David Bowie. So what did I know of David Bowie? Honestly, 1976, I didn't know really anything of David Bowie except I saw him on Don Kirshner's rock concert at night. Saturday night around 11 o'clock midnight, Don Kirshner had this rock concert. There was also the Midnight Special. And there was, they had a David Bowie concert, 1984. And I just thought, wow, that is really, really interesting. I mean, this guy was something else. And so, I saw this album, and really, it's a bunch of singles from a non-single artist. I mean, it wasn't like he was on AM radio, because he wasn't. But it was all these very interesting songs. I mean, Space Odyssey, John and Lonely Dancing, Ziggy Stardust. I mean, everyone knows this album. If you don't, you need to get it, obviously, because it has this early stuff from the early 70s on there. And this was really, after he made this album, he then got into Brian Eno, and him and Eno went to Berlin, and they began to make the Berlin trilogy. So this is his earlier stuff, as he kept going from style to style to style, trying to decide really what he was. But really fun album. Then Chicago. This is Chicago 6. My older brother got me into it. He just said to get this one. Why? He liked it, but he was too cheap to buy it. He knew I'd spend money on anything. So I did buy it. My favorite Chicago album of all time. In fact, this is personal opinion only, I think Chicago was great 1 through 6, and after that they really began to slide backwards because they got too much into the ballads. This was a horn-based band. Man, could they play horns. And I mean, I just, it's still one of my all-time favorite albums that I've constantly listened to through the years on there. I mean, such songs as Feeling Stronger Every Day is on here. Just You and Me. I mean, Jenny, Hollywood. It was really a strong album. It moved, and the horns just blasted through this thing. A nice gatefold on there. I mean, the group was in their prime, and I thought this was, the last really great one. And then Peter Cetera began to take over more and more. They found if they did ballads, guess what? We sold a lot more, and we could get on their radio. It became kind of their key. I had to get 2 Chicago albums, though, because Chicago's Greatest Hits was also listed on there. Now, I didn't know much about Chicago 6, but I knew about Chicago's Greatest Hits. Why? Because in band we played Chicago, because it had horns. So you always had to have that. I mean, every high school band, I swear to God, played 25 and 6 to 4. You always had to play that. And Color My World. I mean, again, just everybody played it. Nice and soft, really fast. I guess, when I look at it, this really was a great introduction to all of Chicago. And it came up with, it had one of the greatest guitar riffs of all time. So there's two guitar riffs in the 70s, especially the mid 70s, that you had to know. The first guitar riff was from Deep Purple. Bum, 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 bum. If you're going to play guitar or bass, if you didn't know that one, you were nothing. The other one was from 25 and 64. I mean, not very complicated, but oh so neat. Because then after they did that, the horns blew into this thing, and it's just phenomenally good music. I can't, this is just, one of those albums of my, youth that totally love, and to this day I still dig it. I went up to, I think they brought the songs all the way through Chicago 8 or on this thing, so it stops at 6, but there were a few other ones. Another greatest hits, Seals and Crofts. So what did I know of Seals and Crofts? I knew that in the locker room, in our locker room at school, we had an 8-track player. And on that 8-track player, there was only 2 8-tracks. One was Seals and Crofts, and one was Bachman Turner Overdrive. That's all we had. And so they played constantly. So that's where I heard this. It was blown into my head. So I knew Diamond Girl and Hummingbird. And to this day, all I can remember of Hummingbird is just when Hummingbird don't fly away, do, 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 do. I don't know the rest of the song. I just know that part of it. Diamond Girl, absolutely loved it. Fun, the greatest hits album. The other one was Bachman Turner Overdrive. This also was always playing on the 8-track. Now, Bachman Turner Overdrive, when we wanted to get pumped up for wrestling, cross country, track, or whatever, you put this baby on. This just hits you. You had Randy Bachman from the Guess Who did kind of the smooth vocals. And then if you want something really rough, C.F. Turner would just crank it up, and he had those rough and gruff vocals. Every song on this thing I love to this day. This is probably one of my all-time greatest favorite albums. You can find it like for 99 cents all over the place. I can't believe it. This should be a $100 album. It's so awesomely good. But it was the soundtrack to my teenage years. Then there was Stevie Wonder. So I saw Stevie Wonder. It was not a greatest hits. He didn't have a greatest hits, not that I could see on there. But I brought this one because I'd heard of the song You Are the Sunshine of My Life. And so I bought this. It was really kind of neat when it came out. It was in Braille. I thought that was interesting. I didn't know a lot about Stevie Wonder. This came out in 1972. But this was kind of the beginning of his golden age. This started really, to me, with Stevie Wonder's golden age. He came out with this one, followed by Music in My Mind, Introversions, Fulfillingness, and the first Finale. I mean, those were all kind of, basically, he changed pop music in the 70s. This was the beginning of the change from that whole Motown sound to just something totally different. It's still my favorite Stevie Wonder album. The final album that I had, because I had to pick 11, and after 10 I didn't know what to do, so I picked Helen Reddy. Why? Because in choir we had to sing I Am Woman. And that's the song that sent me to detention, because when the director said, this is what we're going to sing, I promptly rose my hand and says, but I am man, and you're not going to hear me roar. She didn't find that funny. The rest of the class did, and off I went to detention. So eventually I came back. I had to sing I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar. Still don't get it. So I knew that song, so I bought this. Now, you want pristine vinyl? This is it. Why? Because I think I played it twice. Nothing against Helen Reddy, just wasn't a fan. But I had to pick 11 albums, so there it was. So those were the beginning of my music collection. That started me off. Those were the very first 11 albums. Now, like I said, with Columbia House, they'd send you this card. If you didn't send it back, you had some. You would get the music selection of the month and have to pay for it. I got a lot of those, but just to show you a couple of them. Jethro Tull, Minstrels in the Gallery was one that came to me. I knew nothing of Jethro Tull. This one started me on a lifelong. Actually, I became a lifelong fan of Jethro Tull. It was so interesting. It was the start of his Elizabethan period, in which followed, he had, Songs of the Woods, Heavy Horses. you know, there's been some really great repackaging of this, but Minstrel in the Gallery just kind of, it was a whole different type of music that I found fascinating. I got this one sent in, Marvin Gaye, I Want You. No idea. I really didn't even know Marvin Gaye. Well, I knew, heard it through the grapevine. That was it. This thing came in. I looked at that art, you know, the artwork, really neat looking. But this was so smooth, so sexy. You know, if you have a girlfriend, you want to play I Want You. Or your wife, whoever you want to romance, I Want You is the album to play. Really love this one, my favorite Marvin Gaye one. The other one that came in that I got for free, didn't know, that blew my mind was Parliament, The Tales of Dr. Funkenstein. I looked at that and go, what the heck did I do with this? Oh my goodness, this was great. It made me into a Parliament fan. I bought them all. You know, in college, I was the only guy in my floor, you know, blowing, you know, my speakers with Parliament. The clones of Dr. Funkenstein. Ah, fun album. What's neat is every album after this, they kept taking this and they kept expanding upon this. And sometime I'll show you all my different Parliament albums. They are all pretty neat. So there you go. That's how you start a record collection for 99 cents. And that's all. I got all that. And it just got me passionate into a lot of those groups. I kept expanding more and more and listening. So hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for coming with me. I went over 10 minutes, so at 10 minutes you should have shut this off and started playing music. Enjoy your day and spend some vinyl.